This is Abuja, Nigeria's federal capital territory, the very seat of power, where the president, his vice, ministers, and all the top government executives reside. A beautiful city indeed, with lush and luxurious buildings splayed around. A physical assessment may just paint to an onlooker the picture of a perfect, developed society where things are working perfectly. But then, AD4 TV radio, supported by the Wode Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism and MacArthur Foundation, zoomed its camera lens a little bit further beyond the beautiful physical structures to capture this young girl.
So why you not go school today? Your star was not feeling fine. But you did the sale now. Now why you know they go school? Yeah?
The fire don't have.
Your daddy do not have power to change it. So who do you sell groundnuts for?
My mother.
How many una be?
She's 6.
Una be 6. Might be the last born or first born? Second born. So you have like 4 junior ones. But you won't go to school. Do you wish to go to school? What do you want to become in life? Eh? Do you still believe that I can go to school? Still believe?
Yes.
What's your name? Why are you not going to school now? Eh? Why you never start? August now you go start. August don't pass now. Okay, now you come here. From where? Eh? So we are here now. You start school when? You don't say school don't already start. So when will you start? When did they say you will start? November. Who are you selling this market for? Your mommy. Your mommy too is here. The woman that you're staying with, she's the one that gave you this thing to go and sell. Okay.
A teenager living in Abuja, whose dreams of becoming successful in life is now forced by circumstances to hawk goods on the streets instead, in the quest for survival.
From what I know growing up, myself, I hawked at some point in my life. They see it as parents most times see it as a way the child supports the family financially. They give them these things to go and hawk to help, bring money for their upkeep. And then sometimes they also believe there's this notion that where a man can fail, women succeed. So 90% of time, parents use their girls more than their boys. It's rare for you to see a male boy hawking, but 90% of time you see young girls hawking around. That is because anyhow they will sell. Sometimes parents, I think, pimp their children without even knowing it. They pimp them out to these vultures outside there. All these men that want to, their own is just carry this thing, go and sell. They don't care how the dangers it brings to the girl child herself, the effect it has on the girl child. I think sometimes 90% of time I blame the parents, not the government.
It is part of the devastating reality unfolding. Hundreds of thousands of girl children being denied their fundamental rights to education.
Every girl is an asset, and it is the right of a girl child to go to school. So that is where the government should come in to ensure that every girl should have this basic education, at least to start with. The economy has affected the quality of education in our country to the extent that parents cannot even afford qualitative education for their ward or their children. So that has been a big issue on the part of the children that you see on the road, where they are supposed to be in school.
In that regards, I think the government is doing her best. Everything has to do with every hands has to be on deck to ensure that this goal is achieved. I know that there are a lot of NGOs, a lot of organizations that have come up to really see what they can do about the education of the girl child. And we the parents do have a lot to do. The society have a lot to do. Because if the government is trying to see how they can improve the lot of our girl children, and the parents too and the society is not doing enough. So there will be lapses, So I think there's a lot to be done concerning the girl child. There's a lot to be done. So the government is still doing their best, but all hands has to be on deck to ensure that we really improve the lot of these girl children.
A look all over major streets in Nigeria's capital territory will reveal so many girls of school age either hawking or begging to survive.
I don't see any reason why I, as a parent, will put my child into such endanger my child, my girl child, especially girl child like that. It's my duty to provide for my child, and if I cannot provide instead of my child to hawk, why don't I hawk? 90% of the time, you see these women, the mothers, they are at home, while their girl children are the one roaming around the streets. You understand? I have seen countless of them, and then this girl goes out there and does whatever she does, and probably gets pregnant or gets, gets into trouble generally. And then you still see the same parent, after everything I've done for you, they still pan the blame on the child herself instead of taking the blame as the parent. So I think there should be regulatory these things, rules that should guide these things. When you see anybody's girl child, they should start arresting them. If they should just start arresting the parent that endanger these young children in the streets. Because I'm sorry to divert, if you take it the way marriages are going now and then the way it has been before, you will see a clear difference. If not that God helped some of us, would have been wild in the streets. And then at the end of the day, you as a parent, you have failed in your part of raising the child. You have also failed in building generation, because a woman, a girl, is a fourth generation. You understand? So if you as a parent cannot be able to raise your child well, you have not only destroyed that girl's life, you have destroyed a full generation. So I think government should look into that and start restricting it. I saw the other one the other day. She was just rubbing her body on a particular guy like that, so that the guy would buy the groundnut and the stuff she was selling. And the guy was taking advantage of the situation, to reciprocate. It just as if it was unintentional, but he was molesting her, practically speaking. And the mother of this girl may not know, And then I've heard people say stuff like, the kind of phones they use good phones. Who buys it for them? He says this man in the streets. So they should start arresting the parents for endangering and destroying the girl's life.
A dire situation that is not only adding to already increasing number of women living below poverty line, but dashing the dreams and aspirations of these young minds, amongst whom are prospective world leaders and game changers like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Amina Mohammed, Dora Akunyili of blessed memory, and many others of great repute. According to UNESCO, Nigeria has over 18 million out-of-school children, 10.2 million at primary school level, and 8.1 million children at junior secondary school level. And according to the reports of 27 June 2024, girls make up to 60% of this number. In the FCT alone, 220,000 girls are not in school.
Well, even that figure is a very conservative figure. I can guarantee you that in the FCT, that figure is a very conservative figure. And the number will continue to increase until such a time the government understands that access to education should be seen as a right for every child that is born in this country. One. Number two, until they understand that investment in education is critical and fundamental to every other thing, including security, insecurity, including citizens who are civil, citizens who can ask questions and put government on its toes. Because right now, the way our government view education, they view it as a luxury. That it's only those who can afford it to have access to it. But no country has developed on the basis of such a philosophical somersault. Social education should be for those who can afford it. No. Civil societies understand the fact that educating your citizens is critical in developing your society. And until we put in the right investment, until we put in the right motivation for the teachers, until those who lead us, who make policies, until their children start attending those schools that children of ordinary people attend, we are not going to see any change.
This statistics is short of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which emphasizes quality education for all. However, Nigeria's education sector faces significant challenges. Other factors such as poverty, cultural barriers, and lack of infrastructure also hinder girls' access to education.
You cannot get this out of the way, that cultural bias, without clear light being shined on the data that can embarrass people about why they should do things differently. So one of the things that we want to do is to use our ability to create data and the transparency of data to make this conversation come above water and have a really good discussion. The third part of this is that the regulatory laws in many countries, you look at our Women in Law report, it tells you that women don't have the same rights across certain parts of the world. And I think, again, we can be helpful in both shining a light, but also helping to move those policies in the right way, from asset ownership to business ownership and the like. And then the last two things I'd say about getting them in is you cannot get them to come to work from where they live if you don't give them safety in going and coming. And so safety comes in many ways. Of course, better policing, but a bus rapid transit system, which has benefits on climate, actually has enormous benefits in the safety of a woman going to work and coming back. And the same is true of things like childcare. The historical role that a woman plays in a family's evolution needs to be managed in a way that we enable her to also do this other thing we're talking about.
Further investigation by AD4 TV Radio reveals that 30% of girls in the FCT are married before they get to the age of 17 or 18 and do not get to go to school or further for those who are privileged to even start. By so doing, the girls are disadvantaged because they have been denied the right of making informed decisions. The exposure and experience is required to become enlightened wives and mothers that can contribute meaningfully to their families and development of their children, which can also involve non-formal education, is lost. There are potentials to becoming career women, professionals or leaders who will contribute to societal growth and development is missed. Without education, girls are vulnerable to not just early marriage, but exploitation and victims of human trafficking. Girls' education is crucial for national development. Educated girls contribute to economic growth, improved healthcare, and reduced poverty, experts say.
Láti inú àwọn ilẹ̀kùn pípadé ti ìṣàkóso ilé-ìwé sí àwọn iṣẹ́ ṣíṣe ti àwọn ètò ìmúlò ètò ẹ̀kọ́, àwọn iṣẹ́ ṣíṣe ti àwọn olùkọ́ àti àwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ilé ẹ̀kọ́ gíga àti àwọn ọmọ ilé ẹ̀kọ́ alákọ̀ọ́bẹ̀rẹ̀. Lives and Worms lórí AD4 TV Radio tọpinpin àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ pàtàkì lórí ètò ẹ̀kọ́ ní àwùjọ láàrin agbègbè olú ìlú orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà. Lives and Worms mú àwọn òye àti ìwádìí ti àwọn aláṣẹ ní ipò ti àwọn ilé-ìwé gbogbogbò ní olú ìlú orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà. Ìjábọ̀bọ̀ tí ó tọ́, àlàyé tí ó múnádóko, wo ètò Lives and Worms lórí AD4 TV Radio, iléeṣẹ́ tí ó ṣe é gbẹ́kẹ̀lé tí ó ṣe é mú yangàn láwùjọ wa.
At the end of the day, the productivity and capacity of women to change our future is second to none. And the reason is very simple. They bring up our families, they bring up our cultures, they bring up our values. They end up doing a lot of informal work. If you can convert that informal work to leadership and real work, and if you can do it in a constructive way where nobody feels that somebody else is being denied an opportunity because someone else has been given one, but just that everybody is getting a level playing field that they deserve to be able to run and win, then I believe we can unlock enormous opportunity and enormous potential for the future. If you enable a lady of the house with social and economic independence, she transforms her family forever. So the multiplier effect of her ability to not only transform her life, but that of those around her is why I believe that unlocking the potential of this dormant opportunity is enormous for our future.
If you start from the point of view of where are we, which direction are we going, in terms of the improvement in the lives of women, social justice, equality, access to opportunity, including finance. I'm not sure that we can say that we're moving yet in the right direction. I'm not sure that we can say we're making progress at the rate that we need to. So it is very, very, I think it's very opportune that we're here discussing this topic and that we have this audience. If we empower our female population and give them the same access that we have given our men, the whole society will be better off for it, and I think that goes without saying.
There is no way that we can achieve sustainable development without involving women, because they are the majority. It's like the parliament. Invest in women. Remain the way that we can easily achieve our social and economic development.
We are seeing many women and girls experience a devastating rollback of their rights and freedoms, and at home and internationally as a result. I wish we didn't have to keep making this argument, the moral, political, economic argument for women's equality, but clearly we do still need to be doing that. We already, of course, have heard about that potential economic impact from greater inclusion, from women working in the formal labour market at the same rate as men, also from women having more similar pay rates to men. And the 20% difference was already mentioned rightly by Shaq. Just to say, if you look at the long-term impact of this, that's about adding the US's economic output onto the global economy. That's the change we could get if we made sure that women were economically empowered. But the World Economic Forum recently assessed it's going to take us 134 years to close that global gender gap at current rates. My goodness, I don't think I'm going to be around then, and I don't think many of this audience are going to be around then. We've got to accelerate on this. We really need to make sure that emerging areas of employment like green growth, but also construction, other areas of our economies and care, that they are including women fully, that we also see that empowering women and girls isn't just the right thing to do, that it's assessed as a core part of economic policy. And we're really delighted by the targets that Ajay set out. We think they really will be important in pushing this agenda forward. But the UK's experience also tells us that women's economic empowerment.
However, Nigeria's education budget allocates mere 5.4% to basic education, far below UNESCO's recommended 15 to 20%.
The UNESCO approved minimum budgetary allocation for education. We are doing that. And why? When you look at the bulk of what's taking our budget, military spending and corrupt practices. So we are underfunding the next generation because we have a war to fight. But this will lead us back to the same point. We are just going to become the snake chasing its own tail. It's endless. Because we've underfunded education today. These out of school children, do we think they don't have vision to be able to become something in life? So the moment we cannot put them via education to get to the right path, these militants, these kidnappers, these ritualists, we put them on, and then we will keep fighting this war against insecurity and terror.
In the FCT, 27% of primary schools lack female teachers who should inspire and model younger girls. Hence, this may hinder and discourage many more girls from either attending school or aspiring to be teachers. As such, the Nigerian government must prioritize girls' education, which many believe will go a long way in addressing cultural and economic barriers.
For the critical age of 10 to 20 young girls, and we know historically, culturally, traditionally, the kinds of difficulties they can face, from early marriage and so on and so forth, and violence, so on and so forth. And so we have a program. It is World Bank supported, and what it does is that it helps those that group to stay in education, to stay within the formal purview of education, training, support, funding for those who want to become entrepreneurs, skills development for others. And it also intervenes to make sure that the all-important financing that sometimes takes them out of the educational sector and the educational line, that they have the funding to keep them on track. That is proving very, very successful as well. And you can have no greater commitment than to young girls through those vulnerable years. And that's what that project is doing.